Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be ranking all 11 DCEU movies, including the Suicide Squad movie. I haven't done a DCEU ranking since Wonder Woman 1984, so this list will include Zack Snyder's Justice League as well. Before we get into this video, if you guys are new around here and you haven't already hit that subscribe button, make sure to do so and turn notifications on so you don't miss any time I upload a new video or go live. Both wasting more time. Let's get into it. At number 11, 11th place in last place is going to be Suicide Squad 2016, the one directed by David Ayer. Overall, I think this movie is just garbage. I think there's a garbage plot. I think there's bad character development. Overall, I think this one is just absolute trash. At number 10 is the Justice League movie released back in 2017, I think there was. The one that was like studio interference. Zack Snyder made it, and then Joss Whedon made it, and then everyone mixed their opinions, and it was a bad movie. It sucked. Literally, it was one of the worst superhero movies I've ever seen in my life. I hate that movie from my core. I love the characters in that movie. I think the characters at these were great. I just think they rushed character development into that movie. There was no planning into that movie, and overall, I think it just sucked so bad. At number 9 is probably one of my most controversial takes, and that one's gonna be BVS, Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. Even the Ultimate Edition, I don't really like. I definitely think this movie has grown on me, but it obviously hasn't grown on me that much since it's still in 9th place. I think it's barely Batman v Superman. It's mostly just Batman v Superman for like 5 seconds, and then they team up to kill Abomination, who was rushed in the third act. Lex Luthor also sucks. The casting for Lex Luthor is absolutely atrocious, and Superman was all right in this movie. I think for the screen time that Batman had, he was all right. I still don't think he's that good. I think Christian Bale is still better. I think Robert Pattinson's the best, and we only have a trailer for his movie. Overall, you can tell I hate Batman vs. Superman, but in 8th place is Wonder Woman 1984. Now, I don't know where I ranked this in my initial ranking back in, I think, January, after I watched the Wonder Woman 1984 movie when it first came out. Overall, this movie is still like good to me. I think it's like, I don't think it's bad by any means. I think it's a fun watch. I think it's decent, but again, I don't think it's anything crazy. It's such a bad successor to the first Wonder Woman movie. I think the first Wonder Woman movie is the best female-led superhero movie ever made, and I think this one had so much for it to live up to, and it just didn't do that. Overall, I think it's fun. It's not really action-packed. It's more of a storytelling movie, and I just don't really like that. I think Pedro Pascal's acting was great. I think Cheeto was too rushed in. There's just a plethora of issues, but at the same time, it's just fun to watch, I guess. I've seen this movie twice. I don't really recommend you to watch it, but it's still fun for me. And number 7 is probably another one of my hottest takes when it comes to DCEU rankings, and that is going to be Man of Steel. I really don't like this movie, and the only reason it's above Wonder Woman 1984 is because I think it's more of a serious movie that works in the DCEU. I definitely think Snyder tried to be a little too serious with this one, but at the same time, I think it works just a little bit. Again, I feel like Superman is just too much of an alien. Obviously, it's realistic. Like, yes, that's how Superman would be, but when I'm watching the movie, I'm not trying for it to be realistic. We saw with Army of the Dead what Zack Snyder can do when he doesn't have like expectation of a character to live up to. Army of the Dead was fun, it was gory, it was violent, yet it had stakes at the same time. Man of Steel just lacks the stakes, it just lacks everything because it's just two alien beings above all else. Like, there's really no stakes for me in that movie. Overall, I just don't really like it. I know a lot of people think it's like top 10 superhero movie of all time. It's not for me. There's only one DCEU movie that I think is going to be in top 10 of all time superhero movies, and that'll be my number 1 spot. But moving on to number 6, and that is going to be Aquaman. This might be a little bit of a hot take. I don't really know. I don't hear many people talking about Aquaman, but the biggest issue with this movie is 100% the pacing. Overall, I actually think this is a great movie. I just think the pacing really ruins it. I think the third act went on for just a little bit too long. And yes, the storyline for like the kingdom and stuff is pretty basic, but overall, I think the action is awesome, and it sets up one of my favorite / most anticipated like moments / characters to see in the DCEU, which is Black Manta. I can't wait to see this revenge storyline play out. And though the revenge storyline in the first movie with just Jason Momoa's Arthur Curry and him trying to like get into like the throne again, like that whole story of redeeming himself, I wasn't the biggest fan. I felt like that was basic, but I think Black Manta has so much potential, and I think that'll make Aquaman 2 so good. But moving on, at number 5 is going gonna be Shazam. I think this is a awesome movie. I love this movie so much. It's bright and peppy on the outside, but pretty dark on the inside. Again, not the biggest fan of the villain, but I think the villain, but overall I think the castings are pretty awesome. I think the side characters are super well developed, and overall, this is just a great movie. It's a fun movie to watch. I've seen this movie, I think, twice or 3 times, and this movie is just so much fun. I can honestly put it on anytime and be entertained. But moving on to the number 4 spot, and that's gonna be Zack Snyder's Justice League, the 4-hour epic. I love this movie, but I'm literally never gonna watch it again, I don't think. I might watch parts of it like that I actually like, but I don't have HBO Max, so that's a little bit of an issue. Overall, I do think this movie is great, but it doesn't have much writing for it. The reason for that is just because there's not much else for me to get from this movie. This movie is over. That era of the DCEU is over. The cyborg that I loved so much in that movie, that's one of my favorite characters in the DCEU right now. From just those 4 hours, I'm never gonna see that cyborg ever again. Same thing with that Flash. I'm not gonna see that Flash. I'm gonna see the Justice League Flash from the Flash movie. I'm not gonna see that Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. I'm gonna see the Wonder Woman from the Justice League. I don't like that at all. I just feel like that really hinders the quality of the movie for me. Overall, I think this is a phenomenal movie. It's not my top 10 all-time superhero movies, but I still think it's awesome. 4 hours, a little bit too long. There's literally zero rewatchability. And overall, I just think it just sucks because this movie's like a 4-hour epic. It's awesome, but I feel like we're not going to appreciate this movie because it's so irrelevant, I guess, to the main stories going on in the DCEU right now. Before we get into my top 3 DCEU movies, let me know your rankings for all the DCEU movies in the comments down below. But in 3rd place is going to be Birds of Prey. I definitely think that this movie is overrated. People call it like the best female-led superhero movie of all time. I don't think it's just that, but I still think it's a great movie. For me, I think it's somewhere at like an 8 or 8.5. I think it's a good movie. I think it's a solid movie, and for the DCEU, that does make it a top 3, sadly, and I don't know how, but it does. Overall, I thought this was a great movie. I think it's so much fun. I love the story within it. The action's so underrated in my opinion. I think a lot of people just look over it because it's colorful and fun, but I think that's what makes it so great. It's colorful and fun. Like, even just looking at James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, you see so many elements from Birds of Prey put into the action sequences with Harley Quinn in The Suicide Squad, and I really think that Birds of Prey's action style really influences the Suicide Squad movie in a great way. But moving on to number 2, my second favorite movie in the DCEU is gonna be Wonder Woman. Like I said before, this is my favorite female-led superhero movie of all time. The weakest point of this movie is 100% the villain. I think the villain of this movie was just honestly kind of lazy. The final battle wasn't the best, but overall I will say, other than the villain, I think every single character in this movie is perfect. Wonder Woman is one of my favorite superheroes, or like female superheroes, I guess, well, superheroes in general. She's one of my favorites now, just because of that movie alone. Also, I love the action, and overall, I just think this movie is such a fun time. It's serious, it's also dramatic, but it's also like super action filled and fun, but also has that gritty like war movie feel. It just mixes so many different genres and puts it into a superhero movie, and that's what I can really appreciate about it. But my number 1 movie in the DCEU, you guys can guess already, is going to be James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, the newest released DCEU movie. I think this movie is close to perfect. I have it at a 9 out of 10. Honestly, it could go up to a 9.5. I think it's 7th ranked on my superhero movies of all time. I think this is an absolutely phenomenal movie. It's one of my favorite superhero movies that's ever come out. It has phenomenal action. It has great character development. It has a great villain. I think it's such like Wonder Woman. I think it's such a great mix of so many different genres. It's dramatic. It's also super serious, but also hilarious at the same time. And I kind of want to go back to the character development really quick. I talked about that a lot in my review. If you haven't already checked it out, make sure to check it out. Link in the description down below. But I think that this movie does such a great job of introducing characters that we literally have no idea about. For example, Peacemaker or Ratcatcher or Bloodsport. We don't know these characters, but by the end of the movie, or like the middle end, whenever the characters like have their big emotional moment, that we really care about these characters. And I think that's what's so special about this movie. They really make us care for these characters so quickly, and I love that James Gunn was able to do that with this one, and that's why it's one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. But yeah, guys, that's it for my DCEU movies ranking. Again, let me know yours in the comments down below. If you guys are new on here and haven't already hit that subscribe button, make sure to do so and turn notifications on so you don't miss any time I upload a video or I go live. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.